Hello and welcome to the Game Day preview show of myself, Pippa, Monique and Lewis. It's still festive season, as you've just seen there. And what a Boxing Day it was. Did you enjoy the Boxing Day football, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, first convincing result that we've had in months. So yeah, can't be happy. A great Christmas spirit.
Well, it's not all about Chelsea. Let's run through the rest of the results because obviously there was a couple of games postponed. Liverpool v Leeds was postponed. Wolves v Watford was also postponed. Tottenham with a home win 3-0 against Crystal Palace. Nice little revenge there for them after what happened earlier this season. Man City with the 9-goal thriller, 6-3 against Leicester City. West Ham 2, Southampton 3. Burnley v Everton was also postponed. Norwich City 0, thrashed by Arsenal 5-0. Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3, Brighton 2, Brentford 0. And of course, today's afternoon kickoff, Newcastle v Manchester United. Now, those games are absolutely matched. We kick off with Man City v Leicester because 6-3. I mean, I think it was 4-0 in the first half. You just think, well, this is going to be an easy game for Man City. Could it end up 9-0? Could it end up 10-0? And then second half, Leicester City just came out a whole different team. And then there was a moment after Iheanacho scored that you thought, all right, the comeback's on here. It's 4-3. Could this actually be an absolute shocker? But Man City went on to win the game.
Yeah, it was like basically a tale of two Leicester Cities, to be honest. The first half, even in spite of all the injuries that they've had, like it was an awful performance from them. They didn't really have any desire, any heart about them. Just bent over for Manchester City, if we're being honest. But the second half, I think James Maddison inspired the team a lot. He was immense in that second half. Yeah. And they did have the chances to equalise. I think Iheanacho missed a very good chance towards the end of the game. Brighton also had a clear header in what was basically an empty net, and he still managed to hit wide. And like, as a rival who needs Manchester City to drop points, it was jarring a little bit. But at the very least, if you're a Leicester City fan, even in spite of all the injuries, you're seeing some sort of fight. But it all really depends on what Leicester City you focus on, because we've seen the Leicester City that perform poorly in most games, but we haven't really seen that sort of a fight back from Leicester City, even if they didn't get a result, like coming back from 4-0 down and not just taking the loss and playing damage control. Yeah, it does show great character, but I also think if you're Leicester City, you kind of want a bit more than character, especially in the form that they've shown this season. Like this has probably been the worst Leicester City side we've seen since 14-15, if we're being honest. And I don't think that sort of performance is going to be enough to make them feel any sort of positivity.
Of course, even before the halftime whistle blew, when the cameras were on Brendan Rodgers, like his face was a picture. And all I kept thinking was, is he thinking, am I getting sacked tonight? But I mean, no one expects to go to City and get a result. So surely he's not thinking that, but he didn't look too pleased, of course. But they came back. But now Manchester City have scored 6+ goals in consecutive home games, Premier League games. Do you think the league is just theirs for the taking? Could it be theirs this season?
If you follow what City's form's usually like, then it might be. But I'm only saying on a technicality because they haven't really pulled themselves away from the rest of the table yet. That is still not over. But we know what Man City's like. As soon as they get to the top of the table, they never really drop off. And they have a habit of starting poorly and then going on 20-game winning runs.
Yeah.
So if they follow the same trend, title might be done. But there's still results to be played. Like, for me, like I'm saying, our title race is decided when we face Man City. If we can get a result out of them, title race is still on. If not, then yeah, we're signing out of that title race. But it all depends on the future results, because Man City can go on this sort of run, but they can also be stopped too. It all depends on the results. Like, we'll speculate all we want, innit?
Stopped by who?
Liverpool or Chelsea. I will throw Liverpool
Chelsea in there. What do you mean you're going to throw Liverpool in there? You should be shocked throwing Chelsea in there at the moment.
No, because people will just say I'm biased if I don't throw Liverpool in there. So I've got to put them in there at least.
Right, the other fixtures that we saw, Norwich 0, Arsenal 5. Arsenal's Bukayo Saka has been involved in 9 goals in his 19 Premier League games this season. That's 5 goals and 4 assists, one more than he managed in 32 appearances last season, where he had 5 goals and 3 assists. So the Arsenal youngsters are playing like a pivot, like a really big part in this game yet again for Arteta. He's 2 years in the job yesterday. Do you think it will be a job well done by Arteta if Arsenal do manage to finish in the top 4?
Oh, definitely. That'll be his best achievement as Arsenal manager, in my opinion, because I still don't really see them in the top 4. I see them competing for it, but if you look at Manchester United, if you look at even Tottenham, for example, I think it's going to be very tight for them. And Arsenal do have the advantage of no European football, but now Spurs don't too. So that puts them both on the same level playing field. What I need to see from Arteta, and it's probably the same thing I need to see from Conte as well, is I need to see him get results against teams better than them. Get a result against a team in the top four, and then maybe you'll start to believe that they have a chance. Because right now they're doing well, but it's all against teams that I'd expect Arsenal to be doing well against.
Yeah.
So they're more or less just doing the jobs that's expected of them, and you can't take it away from them. Like, you're doing the job that's expected. You got to be able to give credit where it's due, but I haven't seen it enough against the top teams in the league to really say something about Arsenal being in the top four. But they are defo in the top four race. Definitely.
So we've seen that the youngsters are really pulling the strings there with Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka, as you mentioned, and Martinelli coming in now scoring goals. You said they need to beat the bigger teams. Their next game, obviously, Wolves has been cancelled, but their next Premier League game is against Man City on New Year's Day. I mean, it's not going to be an easy feat after what Man City has just done against Leicester as well. Do you think, judging by the performances Arsenal have shown recently, the form that they're in, do you think they stand a chance against City, or is City just going to do what City does best?
I don't really know, to be honest, because you got to take your form into account, but I've never seen a team go to the Emirates and be so comfortable so consistently as opposed to Manchester City. Like, they come in, they just blow Arsenal out the water, bag 3 goals, and then they just see out the rest of the match. So it depends. Like, the form that they're in is excellent. This is the most revitalized Arsenal team that I've seen in years. But do I see him getting a result against Manchester City? Like, I hope they do. Like, I'm not even going to try and say that I don't, but nah, I think Man City take 3 points again. Maybe it's not as easy as it was before, but I see him taking 3 points.
Let's breeze through the rest of the other games that happened yesterday, because we still got to preview what's coming up. So West Ham 2, Southampton 3. Since winning 4 consecutive Premier League games between late October and early November, West Ham have only managed to win one of their last 7 games in the competition. So they've drawn 2, lost 4. Apparently, the West Ham fans booed the team at half time. Does this show you how quickly things can change in the Premier League? Because at one moment, West Ham were just flying, top 4, everything. And now it's slowly starting to come back to reality.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I also don't think like booing at halftime or full time means that much in the grand scheme of things, because I see it happen a lot, especially from a Chelsea perspective. If we have one poor half or one poor game, we could be on a 10-game winning streak and we'll still boo them at the end of the match. So I think that's more of a symbol of the performance, because Southampton, that's the first time I've seen them come back from a loss. I mean, from a losing position. And credit to them as well, because they've been in poor form the last few weeks, and that's the first good result for them. Hopefully they can build on it. But from a West Ham perspective, I think it's more just a bad run of form. And I did say I expected it as well. Like, with Europa League football and everything like that, I'd kind of question whether they have the squad for both competitions. And maybe they'll have to get to a point where they have to prioritize one over the other. But I don't think West Ham would still be too worried about anything, because I don't think they're aiming to get into the top 4. I'd be very surprised if they did.
I think they should. They've got the quality there, and I think they still could nick it. Like, there's still so much more games to go.
No, but for me, it's like I think their easiest route to the Champions League is just win the Europa League. But like, from my perspective, Europa League is easy to run through. Maybe it's just because of the team that we have. But I think for West Ham United, especially with the teams that you usually face in that competition, they've got to be one of the favourites. So if I was a West Ham fan, I'd want them to prioritise the Europa League. That's a trophy at the end of the day, and we know what their trophy cabinet's saying as well. And that's also Champions League football at the end of it. So for me, I'd be prioritising the Europa League.
Don't sleep on West Ham in the league. Anyway, Tottenham 3, Crystal Palace 0. Zaha was the one to see red this time. Remember, he was sent off. Tanganga was sent off with a little whatever they had in the last fixture between the two of them. So Zaha's been sent off 5 times in all competitions for Crystal Palace, at least 3 more than any other player for the club since his debut in 2010. On the other hand, Spurs are starting to pick up points under Antonio Conte. How do you think they're doing under Conte now? It's like a whole different team. I mean, some will call it tap-ins and what Harry Kane did and Lucas Moura, but it was good football.
That's the thing. It was good football, and he's put his plan into the side very early. I thought it would have taken a little bit longer for Conte, especially with the squad that he said and the comments that he made after they lost. I think it was that Europa League game against Moura, and he said this Tottenham side isn't good enough for me. But he's got a great result against them, and Tottenham have been amazing. Like, I'm kind of worried about the fact we got to face him 3 times in the space of a month in January. But that's Conte for you. Like, people are going to say back free tax and everything like that. I'm not going to say back free tax, because it's a system. It's a system to get the best out of the players in your squad, and it's a system that Conte understands, has made famous in himself when he was at Chelsea. So I'm not surprised the formation. I'm not surprised getting the best out of the defenders. He's a sort of manager that gets the best out of players that aren't really looked at as the best in their position. And yeah, sadly, Spurs are balling out. So
Harry
it's a
Fishcake said,
shame, and they're putting themselves back into that top 4 race.
Look at this comment. Harry Fishcake says, Super Spurs are back, baby. I think teams around them should start to get worried on Conte. I'm not going to lie. Aston Villa 1, Chelsea 3. Chelsea have lost only one of their last 13 games in the Premier League, picking up 8 wins in this process. They've drawn 4. Do you really think Chelsea can be the team to stop Man City this season?
Depends on January, because we got Liverpool and Manchester City. And to me, if we lose any one of them, that might be the title race done, especially if we lose to Manchester City. Once you lose like 5-6 points on them, I think it's very hard to get that back. Unless Manchester City have a really bottle in. They're not really the sort of side to do that. I don't think we're out of the title race, though. I think people see that based off the last few results that we've had, but we've still been sneaking wins. Obviously, it's not been in the most convincing fashion, but we've still kept ourselves within the title race, in my opinion. All depends now on January. We've got Tottenham, we've got Liverpool, we've got Manchester City. If we can get results in all 3 of those games, we're defo in the title race. But I already think that we are in the first place.
Okay. Brighton 2, Brentford 0. Brighton finally back to winning ways. No more price strike. Helped give Brighton winning feeling over again after a lackluster Brentford. Some much needed points on the board for Brighton after a poor run of form. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, like we've already spoken about Graham Potter before, and we said even in spite of the results, he's done well to keep Brighton afloat or somewhere around the top 10. And I think now they're back in 9th place, I think.
No,
so
I think yeah. They're in top 10.
Yeah, they're back in the top 10 and everything like that. So they are where they want to be. But even in spite of the poor results before, they were still keeping themselves within that race. We already said that the top from around like 8th to let's say maybe 16th, I think there's only a few points separating the pair of them. So they've done pretty well to keep themselves afloat. And more post strike was excellent. I do want to shout out Robert Sanchez as well with some amazing saves towards the end of the match too. But Brighton have looked to be back into winning ways, and you do still have to depend on the next few results as well. But they're doing well. Yeah. And they've been doing well throughout the season. I already said the Brighton fans were way too harsh on Potter earlier.
They were, especially the booing as well. But listen, just looking back at those few games that we had the luxury of having on Boxing Day, let's have a look at the team of the weeks, because there were some good performances in there. Normally, my team of the weeks are pretty much full of like City fans, Liverpool fans, obviously Liverpool don't play, but mine is very different this week. I'd love to see yours as well. So let's try and get those team of the weeks up on the screen. This is Lewis's team. So you put Sanchez in goal. You've got a back four of Emerson, Eric Dyer, Thiago Silva, Kieran Tierney, midfield of Ward-Prowse, Odegaard, and De Bruyne, and up front Saka, Lukaku, and Sterling. Do you know what? It's pretty similar to mine. I do like that team. Emerson actually did really well in right back, didn't he?
Yeah, Emerson's been another revelation under Antonio Conte, but again, I'm not really surprised because he's that sort of manager. He takes players that have been in poor form or don't really have a lot of ratings, and he gets the best out of them, all because of his tactical knowledge. And it's all about like just positional awareness. It's all about being in the right areas at the right time. And his link up with Lucas Moura on the right hand side has been a revelation for Tottenham recently. So at the start of the season, he was looking like one of the flops of the season, but he's really got into form over the last few games for me.
All right, let's have a look at my team. I think it's pretty similar to yours, to be fair, but a few changes. I've also gone for Sanchez in goal, Livramento, Laporte, Magalhaes, Cucurella, midfielder Jorginho, Gundogan. I've gone for Saka, Odegaard, and Lucas Moura, and Trossard up front. I know, actually, it's true. What about Madison? Do you know, I tried to squeeze Madison in there, and I also tried to squeeze someone else in there, but I felt like Lucas Moura had to get into that position.
Oh, Madison would have been a great shot in midfield as well.
I did try to get him in there, but I looked at other. I know it's only because he's on the losing side. Otherwise, it was a buy-in point for me to put him in there. But yeah, Madison pretty much created goals, scored goals, got Leicester back in the game. And yeah, that's it. I tried to get Madison and Sterling in there, but you know, it is what
honourable mention. It's fine.
It was hard to pick this week because there was a lot of good performances. There was lots of goals, and I'm just happy that there's a change in my team of the week, because normally it's the same candidates in goal. Like beginning of the season, it was always your guy Mendy, or it was always like I've got Edison or a Ramsdale sneak in there. But, you know, Sanchez, he gets in there, kept a clean sheet, and his team's won. So it's nice to have some differences in there, not the same faces in there every week. So that is the team of the week. What is everyone saying in the comments? Are they agreeing? Can't believe there's no Sterling. You put Sterling, didn't you?
Yeah, I put Sterling. I swear
Yeah,
you put Sterling as well.
I took him out in the end. I did take him out in the end.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to put him in there because he absolutely bullied all Brighton in the Leicester Man City match. Obviously, he is all Brighton out of position, but you have to give credit to the good performance. He absolutely dominated him in the first half. He was just flinging him all around the pitch.
Right. Question for Lewis. Who do you think scored the best goal? What, throughout the whole of Boxing Day or just in that Man City game? Or actually, answer how you want. Who scored the best goal? Who did score the best?
For Boxing Day, I probably would have said has to be Morpie. Has to be Morpie. That was a great finish.
Even Trossard's one chip over the keeper. I like both of them.
No, that's a close second to me. I didn't even think of Trossard as well.
That's my top three. Mahrez, Trossard, Morpie.
Loki, I don't even remember the Mahrez goal. There was so many goals in that Leicester match. But I'm going to go Morpie anyway because that was a ridiculous finish.
Yeah, it was nice. Now it's time to preview the games over the coming days. Arsenal v Wolves and Leeds v Aston Villa have both already been postponed due to COVID, with more expected to follow probably. But hopefully tomorrow we have Liverpool v Leicester tomorrow 8 p.m. Leicester won their last league game against Liverpool 3-1 in February. Last winning consecutive such matches against the Reds in April 1999. And Liverpool haven't lost their final league game in any of the last season calendar years. So they've won 6, drawn 1, last doing so in a 2-1 defeat at Chelsea in 2013, which you probably remember. Do you think having no games over the weekend could really benefit Liverpool when Leicester only played yesterday and Leicester got thumped as well? Like, do you think they already had an advantage? Do you think it's more of an advantage?
Yeah, this game was easy to predict. Liverpool have a rest going into this game. Leicester City are already injury prone, as just mad injuries throughout that side. And they played 2 days ago. There's only one result for me, in my opinion. Like, Liverpool are going to run through them. It's going to be more about damage control for Leicester City, if we're being honest. But you can't really blame Rodgers. You won't really blame the players for it. They've been put in this really rough situation where they've had to play Man City and Liverpool in 2 away days, back-to-back in 2 days. Yeah. So there's only one result for me. I think if they even get any sort of result, like, that'll be one of the performances of the season from them. But it's only one result. Liverpool are going to run through them, in my opinion.
I genuinely expect the same thing, but you just never know what can happen. But it's clear as day that this has got a Liverpool win written all over it, even if they don't even field like their main starting 11, even if a Minamino starts or whoever, it's still a Liverpool win for me. How about Southampton v Spurs tomorrow at 3 p.m? Tottenham Hotspur failed to score in either of their last 2 away Premier League games, managing just 15 shots combined in those games. And Southampton have just lost once at home in Premier League this season. They've won 2 and they've drawn 5 and are unbeaten in the last 5 at St Mary's, winning 2 and drawing 3. This could be an interesting game, especially after Southampton with the comeback yesterday. Spurs on form. This could be very, very interesting. Looking at the stats there, is there any... This one isn't an easy game for Spurs, especially after Southampton's good win over West Ham over the weekend.
Yeah, like, I agree after the performance against West Ham, they might be in a much better mood and confidence going into the game. But after looking at their previous results, it's only really been that one game. The rest have just been poor results from them and them just dropping leads all the time. So I don't know whether that changes, especially against Antonio Conte's Tottenham, who are in amazing form and are feeling probably more confident than they have done in years. Mm-hmm. So it's another one where I only see it going one way. Maybe Southampton take the lead, but they probably drop the leads, but Tottenham win this one.
Yeah, I agree. I can either see it as a draw, depending on how fit and ready Southampton are after yesterday's game, or it's going to be a very easy Spurs win if we're going by the last games that have happened. I think judging the two up against each other, it's an easy Spurs win, which sounds painful to say coming out of my mouth.
Yep.
Watford v West Ham also tomorrow at 3 p.m. Watford have lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League games against West Ham. They've only won 1. More than they had in their first 9 against them in the competition. West Ham have lost 3 of their last 4 Premier League away games, as many as they had in their previous 17 on the road. They've only drawn 1. West Ham could really do with these points in this one if they're serious about a European spot this season. I know you mentioned European will be easier if they, win the Europa League. But I still think there's a shot for them in the league, and coming up against Watford away, this is very important game for West Ham.
It should be straightforward, but if we're talking about West Ham's recent performances, they might make it really hard for them. There could be a draw in this one. I don't see Watford getting a result. I don't see them winning or anything, but could they get a draw? Maybe. I mean, they aren't a team that just gets battered by everyone. Like maybe they lose a lot of games, but they don't get battered.
Turner says Watford will battle West Ham. Oh, he said West Ham. Damn. He didn't even say West Ham. He said West Ham. So I don't know.
I'm all here for the West Ham
fan.
slander personally. But
not sure if he's a Watford fan or he just doesn't like West Ham, but he's saying Watford are definitely rolling over West Ham.
I do think this one's a potential banana slip because Watford can be underestimated very easily. And I do think that there is a potential that they get a result, but could easily be another way for West Ham to get themselves back into form too. Like, I'll go for a tight West Ham win, but there could be a draw in this game.
Antonio scoring again. Oh, also Ben Rama had a good goal. I forgot about that. Was that yesterday? Ben Rama scored, didn't he? That was a good one. Yeah, he scored the equaliser then. No, yeah,
it's jarring because I just checked the highlights before this as well, but I can't recall. But West Ham could get a result in this game. I do think that they're going to be the favourites as always going into this. But if there's one game that I see a banana slip, it will probably be this one.
So you going West Ham?
Let's say West Ham 2-1.
I'm gonna go 2-2. Or what? I'm saying a draw. I'm saying 1-1.
God willing.
Chelsea v Brighton Wednesday 7:30 p.m. Chelsea have never lost a league game against Brighton. They've winning 10 and drawing 2 of their 12 games. It's the most the Blues have faced an opponent without ever losing in league history. So I'm sure this is one of your favourite fixtures, Lewis. Brighton have never scored in 6 away league games against Chelsea. With last season's 0-0 draw, their first ever point at Stamford Bridge. This one looks like it should be an easy, very comfortable, smooth sailing win for Chelsea.
Hopefully Lukaku gets his first start as well. That's a 6-0, mad.
Christian says 6-0. Wow. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, they've done 6-0 before.
Yeah, but I don't see us bagging anywhere near that amount of goals, especially with our build-up play, because it just hasn't been good enough the last few weeks, with or without Lukaku. But with Lukaku, at the very least, we should be getting a result in this game. I don't think... Do we make it hard for ourselves? I really don't know, because we've made a lot of games hard for ourselves over the last few weeks, but Chelsea should be getting a result. I don't know if Brighton get their first goal against us at the Bridge or not. Maybe, maybe not, because it's really hard to predict this Chelsea side right now. But I do think Chelsea get a win, and I do think Chelsea get a convincing win too.
I think Chelsea will keep a clean sheet, judging by the comments as well. I agree with Tam. I think it will be possibly like a 2 or 3-0 Chelsea win. I think it's very likely. I know Mendy's letting some questionable goals recently after everyone's been giving him all the praise. But I'm convinced he'll keep a clean sheet against Brighton.
Should do. I'll say should do. Our defense should be able to stay solid. That's the one part where I'm not worried about. It's more midfield, that and our attack.
Okay. Man United v Burnley. Obviously, Man United playing tonight as well against Newcastle. We spoke about that in a previous show. But Man United v Burnley, Thursday, 8:15 p.m. Man United have just kept 1 clean sheet in their last 13 Premier League home games, shipping 22 goals in the process. However, that clean sheet did come in their last such game at Old Trafford. Burnley are without a win in their last 9 Premier League away games, drawing 4 and losing 5 since winning 2-0 at Fulham in May. So I know we say this every season about Burnley around the time of year, but do you think they're at serious risk of going down this season?
Yes, but Burnley always get these sorts of results that keep them
like
within.
1-0.
Yeah, just random results out of nowhere that keep them just afloat. So that might be the same case again today. Well, I don't see them getting a result against Man United for one. Maybe they'll make it difficult for them because even with Rangnick in charge, they haven't really performed the best on the pitch. If you look at the Norwich game, for example. So it's hard to predict what United you see. You could see the one against Palace. You could see the one against Norwich.
Yeah.
But I still see Manchester United getting a win regardless. I don't think they even get a draw in this game. They should be able to run all through them.
Like 3-0, 3-1, 4-1. Clean, maybe not clean sheet. Maybe
2-0.
Like 3-1.
Let's say 2-0.
Clean sheet. Okay, cool. Brentford v Manchester City, Wednesday, 8:15 p.m. The last top flight meets between Brentford and Man City were back in 1937-38, with the Bees winning home and away against reigning champions Man City, who were relegated at the end of the campaign. It's a bit of history for you guys there. Manchester City have only lost their final league game in one of the last 20 calendar years, winning 10, drawing 9, with that defeat coming at Liverpool in 2016. Is this the time of season where Manchester City have an advantage with the size of quality of their squad? They have to be that they're able to make changes.
Yep, that's a very good point as to why they've been in this form as well. They've got the best depth in the league by an absolute mile. They could rotate everybody, and I still think they'd be a shoo-in to get a result in this sort of game. I don't see where Brentford get a result against Man City. It's going to be another one where it's about damage control. Do they make it hard for them? Maybe, but I doubt it, really. I think Man City just run through Brentford. It's a simple win for them, and they'll just
It's
move on.
It's not the Brentford we saw at the beginning of the season, is it? Where they were getting good results against Arsenal, a draw against Liverpool. They were doing the job pretty much all over everyone. Now I think obviously everyone's in this crisis where there's breaks with players, COVID, injuries, and everyone's pretty much going through the same thing. But when it's Brentford against Man City, we mentioned the squad depth. Brentford don't really have that luxury, and they're a newly promoted team. So, I mean, on paper, this is a clear like 6-0, 8-0, and it could be an absolute embarrassment for Brentford. But hopefully Brentford come out
to get battered. I'll be real. I don't know if they get battered or not. I do think City win convincingly. I don't know if they just bend over for them or not. Someone said 11-0. That's crazy.
Mad. I don't think I've ever seen. Have you seen that in the Premier League for 11-0?
Nope.
I don't think I've ever seen that in my lifetime.
Yeah, no, I don't even think I've seen double digits before, other than like that one Real Madrid game about 5 years ago.
I'm talking in the Premier League. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, no, max you've seen is 9-0. Just Southampton against either United or Leicester.
Yeah, hopefully Brentford come out with some fighting spirit, because the way they started the season, they kind of deserve it, but no one's safe against Man City. Everton v Newcastle, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Newcastle are winless in their 9 Premier League away games so far this season, drawing 3 and losing 6. Everton are winless in their last 3 home league games against Newcastle, drawing 2, losing 1, losing this exact fixture 2-0 last season. This one should be a good game. I feel like this will be an interesting one. It's probably not the one everyone's looking forward to, but I think it will be a very interesting game. How do you see it going?
This one's very hard to predict because both teams are in horrific form. Other than the games against us, both of our teams, Everton have been awful, really. Even in our game, they were poor, to be honest. It was just our finishing was even worse. But Newcastle are in horrendous form. Everton are in a horrendous form. I really don't know what makes a difference in this sort of game. Maybe it's going to be one where one team finally gets a bit of confidence, but I don't know what to expect from this game. I really don't.
I mean, that's if it goes ahead. People saying it might be postponed. Would be so funny if Newcastle get relegated? I mean, they're looking like likely candidates out of everyone so far. Them and Norwich, with the way they've started the season and continued the season, it's not looking very positive. But yes, of course, it is the Rafa Derby. How could I forget, Trevor?
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's literally the Rafa Derby. I wonder how he's gonna come up against his previous team. It should be interesting.
The Newcastle fans might give him more support than the Everton fans.
Yeah, probably. They probably were singing his name. But how would that go down on the pitch? I feel like Everton have more quality. I can't call it. I hope it's not.
They have more quality, but Rafa's just too defensive for them to really show it, and that's what I think the problem is.
I just hope it's
Newcastle though. Like, they've just been horrific. Like, we'll be real about it. They just haven't been good enough. They've been opened up way too easily by other teams.
But they pretty much always score though. Newcastle, even though they've been horrific, they lost games. They normally score first. They normally get on the score sheet. Yeah,
but like Everton will be more defensive, so I don't really know if they end up getting a goal in this sort of game. You could see a dead 0-0 if we're being honest. You could.
Boring. Anyway,
I won't be watching this one. I won't even try and lie to you guys.
Crystal Palace v Norwich tomorrow, 3 p.m. Norwich have won just 1 of their last 27 Premier League games in London, drawing 6 and losing 20. Crystal Palace have won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games against Norwich, drawing 1, as many as they had in their previous 20 top flight meetings with the Canaries. This one should be an entertaining game, both losing last time out, but Norwich in particular look like they're really going to struggle to stay up the season, as we just mentioned. I'm going for a Crystal Palace win. I know they've lost Zaha. What is that, 3-match ban or what? It's 2 yellows, isn't it? So
just 1 game.
Yeah, 1 match ban. So they're losing Zaha out to this game. But he needs to control his temper anyway, that guy. I hate to sound judgmental, but the South London's really coming out in him.
One of my mates said he's been trying to get a transfer for 4 years and failed, so they don't blame him for being that angry.
He just got all that pep anger inside him.
Yeah, I don't blame him, to be honest. But again, you signed the contract, so
got to do your job.
I don't really know what to tell you, innit? But this is also the best Crystal Palace side that I've seen in a while. Even in spite of their poor form recently, like both Norwich and Palace are going into this game in not great form, but it's one where quality shows. And I think Palace get themselves back into winning ways against Norwich. Norwich are just easy relegation candidates. I don't see them getting a result in this game. But for Palace, it's more about how they perform and if they can get some confidence back into the side after that game. Because if they have a convincing performance, hopefully it starts to show in future games.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with Andre there. Is it Andre? Andre says Crystal Palace 3, Norwich 0. Conor Gallagher with another great performance. So I think people are backing Conor. Yep, Turner says Conor Gallagher will score. That'll be nice.
Yeah, he's been their best player this season.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for when he comes back to Chelsea next season too.
If he finds a space in your team.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we can get rid of Barkley or something and we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
A lot of people have.
Yeah, it's true. You guys have way too many players. You've got squad depth, just not in your.
Yeah, but we put him on massive wages, so we just can't get rid of him. Like we're
Yeah.
still suffering from the 2017 window, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. Some of us have to suffer. But that is all of the game day previews for the matches coming up this week. We've also reviewed the games that happened on Boxing Day. We're really been spoilt so far. I wonder how long it will continue because there's a lot of COVID outbreaks and there's a lot of games being postponed. As fans, we're having the luxury of enjoying these games from home, and some of us are going to the games. Hopefully it continues. Not sure how the players and managers are feeling about it, but we have the games coming up. Thanks to Lewis for helping me preview the games. Thanks to everyone in the comments. The last comment I've seen here is United won't get top 4. Will they or won't they?
I think it's United for me. Only because of the squad that they have, and as soon as Rangnick implements the style of play on that Man United side, they're going to be so hard to beat. But I'm really worried for when he really starts to get the most out of that United squad. It's only because people aren't seeing it right now that they're saying that, which I understand, but as soon as Rangnick gets a stranglehold on that side, that's it. That top 4 writes itself.
Lewis has said it, but we'll see. It'll be a tough one. Could be Chelsea, could be Arsenal, could be West Ham, could be Leicester. Who knows? Could be United. But thank you to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you head over to the DR Extra app, www.donrobbie.com for exclusive content. And thank you for everyone to tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.